Mountain West school getting
Penn State with the
a
6th
bye.
seed. That's tough. So we're gonna have to. Boise State's gonna have to play Penn State first game in the quarterfinals. I mean,
You
Arizona
think it's
State's
a
gonna.
foregone conclusion already?
We'll see who they play. If they,
Yeah,
I
let's
guess if
see
they
who
put
Penn State
Bama in,
gets.
if they put Bama in at the 11th seed, I'm gonna be irate. Be so pissed.
Man, I feel like there's going to be some fireworks with this selection show, or after the
They have to
selection
keep
show.
SMU. Did you watch the games yesterday?
I did, and I went and watched some high school basketball games, some kids that we were looking for collective, and then went downtown with my parents and my Fifi,
Oh,
just a little
Notre
parade of
Dame.
lights things. Okay.
That's expected with Texas losing.
I did see that. Arizona State smacked SM or
Iowa
not.
State.
I guess they smacked. Yeah, they did smack Iowa State.
It was
But then I
bad.
saw Clemson. Clemson won on a game-winning field goal.
Dude, that was crazy. SMU tied it with 16 seconds left, and then Clemson had a 41-yard kick return, a nice little 20-yard pass,
Yeah.
ish pass. And this kid bombed a 56-yarder, a freshman.
Mm.
Longest, it has the longest walk-off field goal in a conference title game in college football history.
And you don't see that kind of stuff in college. Like obviously in the NFL,
Ohio State
50-yard
with the
field
8 seed.
goals.
Oh, wow. There's your
Oh
fireworks.
man. Oh man.
You get an Oregon Ohio State rematch in the quarterfinals. Oh,
Man.
dang,
This
Kirk,
is
that was cold. Did you hear that? Are
what
you
do you, I
listening
don't
to?
have
Are you
this. I don't
watching
have
it?
the sound on. Yeah, I don't have
He
the
said
sound
Kirk
on.
Herbstreit just goes, man, I would have thought Ohio State would have want to go on the road to get away from their home crowd so they don't hear all the booing after they lost to Michigan. That's an Ohio State alum too. You know he's mad.
It is. It is an Ohio State
Come on.
alum.
Do not put Bama in. Do not put Bama in. I'll be so mad. 9 seed's going to be Tennessee. Yep, Tennessee's going to Ohio State.
Tennessee, yeah.
Indiana's going to go to Notre Dame. Watch. I know that next one is going to
I'm interested to see who gets snubbed.
it's going to be, I hope it's Bama.
I keep seeing though, like, and I kind of agree with this. Bama's too big of a brand, bro. They're gonna find a way to weasel Bama in there.
But then if you do that, then you discredit the conference championship game.
Exactly.
What this is all about.
Exactly.
That's why I'm so happy Clemson won.
But you want to know what? You want to know what else? The NCAA doesn't care about conference. At the end of the day, the NCAA does not care about this criteria. They care about
I
this.
told my dad last night, I said, if the NCAA or if the college football selection committee cares about what the fans want and what the trueness of this game, they should look at Twitter right now, and everyone wanted SMU in.
Mm-hmm. I think they're going to get snubbed, man. Unless they get picked right here.
No, this is going to be Indiana.
You think so?
Yeah. Well, no.
Who else are we missing?
Yep. It is.
Indiana.
That's coming. It's coming down to Bama, Ole Miss, SMU, Miami.
SMU's not getting in. I guarantee it.
But they said, they did say that these guys could move. I don't know. Come on. Don't do it.
SMU's not getting in, dude. I promise you they're not getting in.
Game. They were a bye game last week.
Yeah. Oh man. I'll say this as well. Oregon going
They had to
undefeated
do that.
right here. Yeah.
Yeah, they just had to do that. All right, ESPN, we get it. You love Alabama and the SEC.
Yeah, exactly.
You just love it so much.
Gonna have to prove the numbers here right now.
God
But I'll
damn.
say this,
Let's put that
Oregon
Oklahoma game up.
Oregon going undefeated playing in the Big Ten, I think is very impressive.
I think the only thing that helps SMU's case, sorry to just go off on this, is
Yeah, you're good. You're
that
good.
they made it so close yesterday. It was 24-7 and they came back and tied it with 16 seconds left.
Yeah.
That should help their
So
case out.
so I didn't pay attention to SMU's schedule too much. Do they have any bad losses like Alabama has to Oklahoma?
No, their only loss was to BYU on a field goal, and BYU was top 15 at that time.
Exactly. Yeah, BYU was ranked. So that's the thing to me why how you cannot justify. Like I get the strength of schedule
Oh, here we
stuff.
go.
Alabama's in the SEC,
Yes, let's
but
go. Let's go.
SMU? Oh,
Yes.
I must be a little bit behind you. There we
Bye-bye,
go.
Bama.
Oh, that's crazy.
Let's go. They did it. They did the right thing. They did the right thing.
They probably knew that if they put Bama in there, there would be riots in the streets.
Oh,
So,
dude. People wouldn't watch.
yeah.
They would boycott the sport of college football. Like, I think too, they put in after every game last night, they were talking about that. Like all the analysts after almost every
Talking about
single
what?
game, after this SMU Alabama thing. Like
Yeah.
after the ACC guy, they had a Bama quarterback, an old Bama quarterback who's won for them, and he was like, if they do this, if like that's just a detriment to college football.
Yeah. Let's see what Nick Saban has to say here.
I think I've mentioned, throughout this football season is if we don't take strength of schedule into consideration, is there any benefit to scheduling really good teams in the future? Like, here in Alabama, we're supposed to play Notre Dame, Ohio State, Wisconsin, Florida State in the future outside the league. Well, those are great games for fans to see, and that's what I think we should be doing. You know, in college football is creating more good inventory for great games that people are interested in. But do you enhance people wanting to do that? Well, what's the athletic director going to do? He may go cancel all the games now, knowing that the SEC is tough enough. But at the same time, I do think the best teams are supposed to, and no coach should have any complaint about what his circumstances to getting in the playoffs because they all control their own destiny and they all have opportunities and they had some flaws and losses that contributed to their circumstances. So this could be a learning lesson.
The very politically correct answer from old Coach Saban there.
I ain't gonna lie, it sounded like I was gonna have to go get him a thing of salt at first, but I liked how he ended that.
But I
Don't be in
think
that
I think he
situation.
yeah, exactly. Which is 100% correct. But I think he does have a point with, and I think this goes back to like picking teams in the men's basketball, tournament as well is do you reward strength of schedule whether you are successful within that strength of schedule or not, or do you reward winning when some of these teams are scheduling cupcakes, but their win percentage is better? So I see what he's
Mhm.
saying with that whole thing is like, okay, now SEC schools might be like, look, we're going to have a gauntlet of 8 to 9 games in the SEC. Let's schedule 4 wins for these first 4 non-conference games so we don't have to worry about
I hate
issues
that.
once. I do too, but I get what he's saying. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I do. Um, I just hate the fact that like I am firmly against SEC schools like this scheduling FCS schools
I agree. Oh yeah, absolutely.
in November. In November of all things. Like get that game done at the beginning of the year as your warm-up game type deal. And then schedule out. I don't know. I think they're doing it the right way. They're rewarding teams winning their conference first.
Yeah,
And,
I
and
agree.
playing for their conference title. That's what it's all. That's how you lock yourself in college basketball. And plus, college basketball a little different, because you're playing a lot more non-conference. Whereas like
Hmm.
SMU and Indiana couldn't control the fact that their opponents had terrible years, yet they're
Yeah,
in a Power 5 conference. They can't
right.
control that all the teams in their conference that were scheduled on their schedule were bad. They can't control that. They went out and won. That's all they had to do,
Absolutely.
And to me, that it's unfair to punish teams when you're going down that road. And then you look at, like, you're just saying, like you said earlier, like Alabama's the brand, and we're sitting here talking about the fact that they could possibly be in with 3 losses because of the brand.
Yeah.
That's wrong.
No, I agree. I think you're 100% correct. I think it's a fine line between like rewarding teams that schedule difficult opponents, but at the same time, if you're going to schedule those opponents, you need to have some good success against those opponents.
Yeah.
Like let's not forget what the goal of playing sports is, and that's to win the game. Like that's why you play. You play to win. And if you decide to make a tough schedule, great, that's going to help your resume if you win those games. But if you don't win those games, you lost, man. Like what do you want us to say?
And yeah, and I think it's this 12-team deal is like perfect, because I'd rather be talking about someone said it yesterday. It was like, if you're talking about this 13th ranked team like Alabama, they could potentially win, but this is a down year for Alabama. And
Absolutely, yeah.
12 teams is perfect. I'd rather have this conversation than the conversation that was last year when they left out an undefeated Florida State team at 5th.
Yeah.
Like that's
Yeah.
like, come
Oh
on.
yeah, dude. I forgot about that.
Everyone, dude,
I forgot
Carson Beck
about
got
that.
hurt, and everyone was like, if Texas wins, by theory, Georgia gets eliminated because they're starting quarterbacks out.
Oh, Carson Beck got hurt last night?
He's not gonna play, bro. I'm almost 1,000. I'm not gonna speculate too much, but I'm almost positive he tore his labrum in his throwing shoulder.
Ooh,
It was one of
that's
those where
tough.
he went back to throw. And when he was winding up to right, when he was coming forward,
Someone hit his
arm.
Yeah.
From behind, and
He
he was limping. He was limp shoulder, and he came out for the
Yeah.
final snap, and he had that thing so tight to the side of his body, because the backup quarterback got absolutely lit up on the second to
Really?
last play. It was crazy, but I'm glad this is what I'm looking at for the 12-team playoff. That's perfect. It's
Yeah.
what it's needed. You have 1, 2, 3, 4 Big Ten schools, 1,
Mm.
2, 3 SEC schools, 2 ACC schools, a Mountain West school, and a Big 12 school.
So what do you think about the Big Ten getting 4 teams in?
I think they had the best year. I truly think they had the best year out of the SEC. Had a down year. I mean, if we're talking about the 4th SEC coming in and they were 5-3 in conference play, like, we need to be moving on to the next team in the next conference.
Yeah, that's fair. That's very
I think
fair.
unless you have multiple top 10 teams with 3 losses, then you can start putting teams with 3 losses in there. But to me, 3 losses is just enough to say nope. You couldn't even finish in the top portion of your conference. Well, what makes you think that you can come compete for a national championship?
Yeah, and I think my I guess rebuttal to that would be you have Georgia, Tennessee, and who's the third SEC school?
Texas.
Texas, all in there, and all of those teams beat each other.
Mm-hmm.
In what my mind in like, and I guess we'll see who wins the national championship this year, but like in my opinion, the Big Ten, their top 2 or 3 teams can compete with SEC, but I think the top 5 to 6 schools in the SEC would compete for a conference championship in the Big Ten.
Mm-hmm. No, yeah, for sure. It's just I think you gotta like if you look at the Big Ten, Oregon in conference play, Oregon was 9-0, Indiana 8-1, Penn State 8-1, Ohio State 7-2. There's your 4 teams in, and then your next team was 6-3, which was Illinois. And then if you go down to the SEC, it's 7-1, 6-2, 6-2. That's the 3 that are in Texas, Georgia, Tennessee, and then Bama in South Carolina, Texas A&M, LSU, Ole Miss, Missouri are all 5-3. In my opinion, if you let one of those 5-3 teams in and you don't, you know what I mean, then you're starting to get into some sticky situations. Even though
Right.
some of these teams' overall records are much different.
Yeah.
Really, what did
That's
it
a
in was
fair point.
Alabama losing 24-3 at Oklahoma was if they don't
The
lose that
icing on
game,
the
then
cake.
they're
Yeah,
in for sure.
absolutely.
And the ACC would only get 1 team in.
It'll be fun. I'm excited to see how this 12-team playoff works out and what just kind of what it looks like. Because I think it's gonna be a true idea of who the best team is, because I think it's hard to miss out on the top 4 or 5 best teams in the nation when you have a 12-team playoff. When you have a 4-team playoff, there's a very high chance potentially the best team in the country gets snubbed out of that playoff with 4 teams. But with 12, it's like we're gonna the best team's probably gonna win in this playoff.
I am excited for that now.
Me as well.
Moving on, let's go college basketball. What do you think? How do you think your Dukies are looking?
I think they're starting to show signs of their trajectory in the right direction, to be honest with you. Kind of like we talked about, I don't know if it was last time. I know we weren't able to post that last recording. By the way, welcome people. I think this is episode 52. Take 2, because our last recording didn't work. But I think we talked about it last time, or one of these past times, is Duke has a habit of looking really, really strong in kind of the first half of the season and then plateauing. I think they're showing signs that they're just going to continue to improve, especially because, for one, they had such a tough non-conference schedule, or kind of opening season, and ended up beating Auburn, which is like we were texting back and forth. We both think that Auburn is one of the best, if not the best team in the country. Just in this early going, having a win like that, I think it's very promising for Duke. And the other thing, and I know we talked about this before, is I didn't realize how big Duke's lineup is. the size they have from top to bottom. I didn't realize that they had so much size and length that I think that the more that they start to nail down their actions, their offense, what they want to do on defense, I think they're just going to be a nightmare to play against just because they have so much size.
Mm-hmm. That Kaman Maluach, I don't know. He only played 15 minutes in that Auburn game. I don't know if he's gonna be one of those guys you can have on the court in those like up and down games.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
But
I think he's
I think
just like always. I think the backup big for Duke is going to be a issue.
I think Mason Gillis not getting any tick is kind of shocking to me.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to hear what the deal with that is.
Who else came in? Isaiah Evans had an unbelievable game. If he doesn't do what he did in the first half, I don't know if Duke wins that game.
Yeah, I mean they needed every bit of what they got, you know.
Yeah, for sure. Con Knueppel, pretty poor game. Only 6 points. Yeah, they're pretty good, dude. I'll be honest with you, they're pretty good.
Yeah, I think they. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. Go. I was going to change to Auburn.
Oh yeah, just real quick. I think Duke, they have the roster to win a national championship this year. I think it's all going to ride on how much progress Knueppel and Cooper Flagg make of just being able to be that guy, and how consistent they can be defensively. Because I think if they can lock in on the defensive end, it's going to be a long night for whoever steps on the floor with them.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I agree. I just think their age is going to catch them.
I agree.
I think they're gonna hit a team that's just older. Cooper's a good player. His age shows in big moments. And I think
the thing I noticed in the Auburn. Sorry, go ahead. I keep cutting you off.
I just think he's gonna. I think that's just gonna be the thing that's gonna catch him.
And the thing I noticed, especially in that Auburn game, I know he had a really good game. Like, what were he had like 22 and.
He had 22.
He filled, yeah.
11 and 4 assists, 3 steals, 2 blocks. He didn't have any turnovers that game.
Like, he filled it up and played a fantastic game. Like, don't get it twisted of what I'm about to say. But the thing I noticed with him was Auburn was starting to cut into the lead and make it close and make a little run. And there was 3-4 straight possessions where Cooper Flagg maybe touched the ball once. You know, like he was getting real passive. And I'm kind of like, your boy Knueppel is struggling, like straight up struggling this game, not playing good at all. You're kind of the guy that they need to take some charge, and he was being very passive, that it was kind of making me nervous. And luckily they turned it around and were able to get that win. But there were moments there where it was kind of like, why is this number one recruit in the country not just dogging these dudes right now, especially when Duke really needs it?
Is he a generational talent?
Yes. I would say yes, because of the reads he's able to make already at 17 years old.
That's fair.
Like think about this, dude. We were saying Auburn is the best team in the country, and a 17-year-old filled up the stat sheet against who we're calling the best team in the country.
Yeah, no,
do you think he is?
Like 7 generational talents in the last 7 years, and every single one just goes blah in the league.
Yeah.
You know, I don't want to press that button until he. Yeah, he played well against Team USA. He did all, like, I think that's unfair for that to be on a 17-year-old. Like I told my dad, I was like, They're looking for their next LeBron. Every year they're looking for their next LeBron. Well, you're not going to get another LeBron. I'm sorry. You're not going to get another player that's just going to come straight out of high school and score 20 plus in his first game and average 20 plus his whole entire career, not have a season lower than that. You're not going to get that ever again. Like, I'm sorry, and that's my problem with the whole labeling these kids as, oh, the generational talent, like Victor Wembanyama. They said, oh, he's the next gift. Well, no. He doesn't even go inside the paint.
I think with Wembanyama, he's running into the fact that it's a long season and it's a very physical season and very physical game. And I don't know if he wants that smoke all the time. But, I mean, look at this, dude. Average as a rookie, 21 a game, 10.5 rebounds, 4 assists, 1 steal. 23.5 a game this year, 33%, 10.5 rebounds, 4 assists basically, and a steal. I mean, I know he's on a bad team, and I don't even know how the Spurs are doing this year, but that's some generational numbers right there, if you ask me, for year two.
I can't believe I'm
and year one.
I'm actually going to bat for LeBron James here. I want a list of their seasons. Okay, here we go. When did he get drafted? 03. You're a Bron guy.
Oh, 03, yes, sir.
So he came in. What was the Spurs record last year?
Oh, it was abysmal. I can't remember what it was, but
because when
I know where you're about to go with this.
The year before Bron came in the league, Cavs were 17-65. Bron come in the league, rookie of the year, 35-47. Second year in the league, 42-40. Third year in the league, 50-32. Won his first round playoff appearance, and then from there on, it was just playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
And then he left, and then when he left, bleh. See, I can't believe I'm doing this right now. Like, I can't.
I love to hear it. I'm keep going, please.
I'm just saying, you're not gonna see, like, do not ever compare these young cats to the old heads that we grew up watching, because it's different. And yes, that sounds like one of the old guys that's being like weird about the game or whatever, stingy about it, but it's true. LeBron James is like the last guy since Kobe and MJ. Like, that's those three.
I think you're right. I mean, as far as, I don't know if any player has had the extensive impact on immediately, whether they're on the or in the organization or not, like if they leave, no one's had the major impact like LeBron has, where like they go from being a title contender with him to being absolutely nothing without him. I don't know if any player has had that effect on an organization like him that I can remember.
I think JJ Redick's finding out how tough that job really is. Good God, dude. 2-7 the last 9 games. They're terrible.
I'll say this though, and you said it as well. I think I remember you saying this. The Lakers roster is not a championship roster. Like,
no.
They'll make the playoffs. They'll probably sneak into the play-in or the playoffs, because they're, I think, better than the bottom half of the West. But it's not a championship roster, and I think he knows that. I think LeBron probably knows that, and I think all of us probably know that like what we're seeing from them, they will not win a championship this year.
No.
So I think having those expectations for them and just kind of JJ Redick It's not realistic.
Dude, I'm gonna be straight up with you. This is his last season. I really think so.
I think so
He's not
too,
the type
man.
that's gonna do a parade. I told my dad this. And he kind of agreed with me. He's not the type that's gonna go parade around the last season.
Yeah.
He's not that type. I know he may seem like the all about me type of person, but when it comes to that, I think he's just gonna call it. And I truly think it's after this year because you got to play with his kid. He got his moment. He got what he wanted, and it's like he's fulfilled. That's what
Yeah.
I firmly believe.
And I think this year, like, just kind of what you're saying is, I think this year was kind of like dipping his toe in the pool of retirement and seeing if, like, am I ready to dive right in, or do I still have some more left? And I think you're right. He's seeing this year, and we're seeing as kind of just people watching that, like, Father Time has caught up to him a little bit. Not that he's not putting up fantastic numbers still, but he's not the same. Like, I saw a compilation or a little stretch of a game that someone put on Twitter or something where, like, he's literally on both sides of the floor, offense and defense. He's like barely making it across half court.
He's a body out there. He's just
Yeah,
a body
dude.
out there sometimes.
And that's the thing, like, and he's caught flack his whole career for a long time in his career of, especially defensively, like if he turns it over, being the last guy back on defense. Like that's happened with LeBron for a long time, especially in the regular season.
Mm-hmm.
But
Every
you
time.
don't you haven't really seen in his career where he's literally like, he looks slower out there. He doesn't look athletic as athletic. He doesn't look as explosive, and he just kind of looks like a shell of himself a little bit.
Yeah.
But what's so funny to me, before you say what you're about to say, what's so funny to me is he'll have a game where he like the other day, didn't he have like 8 points or something like that at the end of a game?
Yeah, 8, and then he went
And
to
then
the free
drops,
throw line and got his 10.
and then but then like the game or two after that drops 33 or something like that, and is the best player on the floor.
I know, it's crazy.
It's weird.
The Warriors need to cut ties with old Stevie boy.
Why you say that? Dude, I know you felt this way for a long time, but
he rotates off script, not off feel. He has no feel as a coach. So he plays people that it's like, bro, why are they playing? They need to go get another piece, though. When DeAnthony Melton tore his ACL, that hurt. That hurt. He was kind of like that glue guy, and then once he kind of got hurt, this is when the struggle started happening.
Mm-hmm.
And we lost 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We're 1-6 in our last 7 games.
Mm-hmm. I remember seeing that.
Mm-hmm. And then
it's interesting how a lot of like championship level teams are like, whatever, they all have that kind of utility knife guy off the bench. Like for the Nuggets, when they won it, it was Bruce Bowen. Or I'm sorry, Bruce Bowen.
Bruce Brown.
Bruce Brown. Sorry. But I feel like every championship team or contending team has that Swiss Army knife off the bench.
Yeah, they do. You have to have a good bench play to win championships. Dude, but this is crazy. They play Minnesota. They played Minnesota Friday. They play them Sunday, and then they play them the 21st.
Yeah, that is wild. I feel like the NBA does that sometimes.
Mm-hmm. Back to the second thing. Here's my deal. If North Carolina has a mediocre year, I really think Hubert is hot seated. Like numbers, like, buddy, you need to figure this out. How do you miss on every single big man recruit and we get the scraps? Like
Mm-hmm.
literally, that's what we got. We went to a steakhouse, and we were like, "Oh yeah, let's get that steak." And then the
Mm-hmm.
cook was like, "Nah, you don't get that steak." So we were like, "Okay, let's get that
Nah.
steak." And they were like, "No, you can't have that one either." And we're like, "Okay, well, what about that steak?" And they're like, "Nope, that steak's already going to someone else. You guys get the scraps out back."
Yep. Well, you said it was NIL. You feel like it's
Yeah,
NIL.
100%,
You still
1,000%.
think that? Yeah.
Yes. I'm gonna pull up Bama's roster real quick, but I think Michael Jordan has no NIL
Come
stuff,
on,
NIL
MJ.
going on, and it's like, brother, help us out, lock in. If you go to Alabama's roster, I know they have a bunch of 6 foot or 7 footers. 6'11" Grant Nelson, 6'11" center, 6'11" forward, 6'10" forward, 6'8" forward, 6'7" forward, 6'6" forward. So it's like, dude, bro, they're huge. 6'10", 6'11", 6'11", 6'11". 4 guys above 6'10", and a couple of them probably don't even play, but they're cool with it because it's like, oh yeah, I'm getting good
getting a
money,
bag.
and I maybe get 15 minutes a game.
Mm-hmm.
You go to UNC men's basketball. Our roster. How tall are we? God bless. We have one tall guy, and he's so bad. Where is he at? Jalen Washington, 6'10",
Yeah.
and then one of our main big guys, Van Allen Lubin, 6'8", Jalen Withers, 6'9". Where's that's it? Like, there's our big man, 6'10",
Mm-hmm.
James Brown, but he don't play. Ty Claude, a big man, 6'7". Like, we missed
Yeah,
on
that's
everything.
which like that's good size, but like if your bigs are 6'7",
Not in the
6'8",
ACC.
I know, exactly. That's exactly my point. Like you're seeing, I mean, going back to what we talked about, you compare that with Duke's roster. Duke, their shortest starting player is 6'6".
Mm-hmm.
Like they start
Like,
6'6", 6'7", 6'7", 6'9", whatever it is. You know, like I don't know what it
jeepers.
is, but it's crazy.
I'll pull up a couple stats for you. Somehow we lost by 3 at Kansas. I don't know how we pulled that off. So when we played Auburn, Janai Broom looked like a absolute bully out there. 23 and 19. We gave up 11 offensive rebounds, had 7 offensive rebounds. Rebounding was 42 to 36. Normally we're the offensive rebounding team, but that's a team that was bigger than us. All right, let's go down to Michigan State, another team bigger than us. Top score, out rebounded us, 37 to 29. 8 offensive rebounds to our 5. That's 5 offensive rebounds for North Carolina. That's
And
new.
That's what North Carolina does. That's
That's
how
our
they
bread and
win
butter.
games a lot. Yeah.
That's how Armando Bacot was the all-time leading rebounder in Carolina history. And then you go to Alabama, 40 rebounds. Oh wow. Never mind. Okay, I'll backtrack that. 15 offensive rebounds to 8, but like still we got smoked. 5 of 28 from 3. So what's going on is when these teams are knowing that we have no big man presence, they're able to extend out on our guards more because they're like, oh, well, we're okay with getting beat off the dribble because we know these little guys attacking the rim. We can defend the rim.
Yep.
And let me ask you this. If that's your size and you're playing a team that's bigger than you, much bigger than you, and you're switching 1 through 5 on the ball screen, is that smart?
If the other team is much bigger than you?
Yes, and you're putting your 1 and your guard on a 6'10" guy who RJ Davis is 6 foot.
Yeah. I mean, so like I think you can use switching defenses for a multitude of different reasons. And one of them, like for me, is if you're bad on dribble penetration, especially on ball screens, like your ball screen coverage is bad, switching helps you just kind of keep that ball in front and keep it out of the paint. But
Mm-hmm.
to your point, like if you're going to switch 1 through 5, you have to assume, especially at the college level, that teams are going to catch on to that. They're going to roll your guards into the post, and then you're
Mm-hmm.
going to have rotations out of that, whether it's a double, whether it's a warrior switch where they find a good time to switch back once the ball is on the opposite side of the court or whatever. Like there's ways around it if you feel like switching is the best way to do it. But no, to answer your question, if you're undersized, no, I'm not going to switch 1 through 5 probably.
Michigan State in the end we made a huge run towards the end of that game to tie it. And in overtime, I don't know why we started switching that, and Michigan State recognized it. And so what they would do is they would let the switch happen, and the guard would drag out the big man and then kind of reset it and pull the big man out. And then they would specifically attack either going towards the big guy who had the guard on him, feeding him in the post, or they would try and get the big man downhill off the dribble and then throw a dump down pass or a lob. And it was like every single time, and there was no adjustment. I'm like, yo, we are getting murdered right here. Why are we still doing this?
And I think that's part of kind of like you're saying with Steve Kerr is when you've coached the game or when you've seen the game at a certain level and you're kind of in charge, like as an assistant, we're in charge of here's game plan A. Here's what game plan B is if game plan A doesn't work. Like that sounds like to me, North Carolina didn't have a game plan B. Like they didn't have adjustments ready to go. And that's part of the coaching staff's job. Like that's not on the players. At the college
I truly
level,
think they just pulled that out of their hat.
Yeah, players win games at any level, but at the higher level you go, every player's a good player, right? Like everybody can play. So those adjustments and those game plan things, they matter that much more because the playing field is a little bit more level.
Yeah, great point. We'll see. It's a new team. We're without a big man for the first time, and I think I texted you that. I was like, think back. I can't.
This is the first time in a long time.
It's Sean May, and then you had Tyler Hansbrough, and then you had like Kennedy Meeks, Luke May, Garrison Brooks, Armando Bacot, Brady Manick. Dude, just big men that were outstanding, and then now all of a sudden it's like,
yeah,
what happened?
Well, here, I'll throw this out as well. Their best player, RJ Davis, is shooting 35% from the field and 24% from the 3-point line. Like if you're best, especially in today's world, like in today's basketball, I feel like today's basketball is all about efficiency. If you can be a scorer, but if you're not an efficient scorer, like coaches can kind of see right through that, or scouts can kind of see right through that. When your top player or when your leading scorer isn't efficient, that means probably your whole offense isn't very efficient.
I had a feeling he was gonna have a iffy year because Marcus Page had a great junior year, like crazy junior year. Came back senior year. I mean, granted, he broke his hand early, but then had a mediocre-ish senior year season. Came alive in the tournament, did his thing. But Joel Berry did the same thing. Had a great junior year, and then his senior year was just bleh.
Yeah, it's weird how that happens.
But moving last thing, I'll just ask you real quick before because I don't know what else to talk about. Any surprises with the first weekend of RMAC basketball or early on with these guys'
I'm
records?
I'm glad you brought that up because I just pulled up the standings. Um, I'll tell you this. It's wild seeing CSU Pueblo at the top of the RMAC right now. I granted they're tied with three other teams, Regis, Mines, and Metro, all at 2-0 in the RMAC. But they're 7-1. Metro's 7-1 overall. Colorado Mines 6-1 overall, and Regis is 4-4. If I remember right, Regis had a pretty tough non-conference schedule. So I think we'll start to see them win a lot more games, kind of putting them together. But the big one for me that's kind of crazy is Westminster being as good as they are. They were bad last year. They were really bad last year. But seeing them in the middle of the pack, even kind of flirting with the top of the RMAC, that's kind of a surprise.
Lost by 10 to Pueblo and then turn around and beat Springs. Pueblo might be a real deal this year. My shocks are, wow, Highlands really lost both this weekend, huh? That doesn't.
What did we say, Bush? What did we talk about?
They had Regis and Mines at home. Yeah, I mean, we said it. That's a standard New Mexico Highlands weekend for you. Start out really hot, 6-1, and then lay an egg. Like, that's normal.
They always sputter in conference play. I feel like every single year.
They always have so much talent too. I think the two that surprised me the most though is Fort Lewis and Colorado Mesa being 0-2 and like just 500 in general. Black Hills being 5-5 overall. They've had some bad losses. Be honest, they've had some bad losses. They should not have lost to Montana State.
Big time.
University should not have lost to Augustana. Minot
South
State
Dakota
didn't
Mines.
watch that game. Should not have lost.
Minot State's good. That was a loss that's very justifiable. Minot State's number 24 in the or 20 in the country or something this year. So
I love my guys. Good. I love me some jacket basketball, but I was slightly embarrassed on Tuesday or Thursday, whatever day they played Mines. That was bad, dude.
Yeah,
I think I said it was like that was equivalent to Ohio State losing to Michigan. It's like now I know what they felt like.
Well, especially when like that's a big rivalry game, first conference game.
First win.
South Dakota Mines hadn't won yet. Like that's tough.
Bro, getting rolled too. I guess
like South Dakota Mines was not. They weren't even competitive. Like it was plenty of double-digit losses.
Yeah. So that's what you get, bro. I texted you. We always play bad in that place.
We do indeed. You're right. I mean, I experienced it myself firsthand when I was playing there. We always struggled to beat them at their place. The other one, shout out RMAC Insider. Look at Colorado Christian, right up there. And I know it's very early, 2 games in, but he was high on Colorado Christian, and we'll see what they end up doing.
It's definitely stock to look at, but I'm not buying it yet.
Yeah, I'm not either. Sorry, RMAC Insider. Just not quite yet. Give me a couple more weekends.
Seen too many things.
Yeah, we've been around the RMAC too long. Like we've seen too
Some
much
things
happen.
just don't change. This is one of those conferences. Some things just don't change. They may change for a year, but then it goes back to normal.
But they'll usually go back. Yeah.
Like,
have you watched much RMAC games?
I haven't had a chance to, just doing these announcing and stuff. Next week I'll be able to watch some games. So
I haven't tuned in either.
Off that it's on Thursday now. It throws me off.
I know it's such a change. We've been so accustomed to Friday, Saturday.
You guys, if any players listen, anyone who's involved in the RMAC, you guys are the luckiest sons of guns. Just eat it up, because going back to back from Let's see. Going back to back from when. Oh, here's a good one. When we had to
The
play
worst,
Westminster and Dixie State, one
yeah.
end of Utah down to the other.
Or there's also this one. There's the Shadron State and whoever
Denver
whoever they're grouped with in the Denver area. That's always brutal.
That was stupid.
Ridiculous, dude.
You could never win with the scheduling because everyone was complaining about the schedule. I remember going into Shafe's office and looking at it, and he's like, "Dude, you just can't win with this. You just can't win.
You can't. Yeah,
Well, yeah, when
everybody has a trip where they're like, "Oh my God, this is going to be the worst trip of the year."
To be honest with you, the schools that have it the best are the schools in the Denver metro area.
No question.
They have it the best. It's 4 hours.
There's no doubt about that.
6 hours to Spearfish. Western to Spearfish is brutal. Western to Durango
the only
is
bad
brutal.
trip. The only bad trips that the Denver schools have are out to the Utah school, Westminster.
Mm-hmm.
That's the
Driving
only
up-
bad trip.
We were driving up our little bus. It was a bus to fill one team. One team could be in there. Little bus drivers hauling ass.
Oh
up
yeah, dude.
This mountain, Wolf Creek Mountain, and you look over the side out your window, and it was like,
Mhm.
yeah, hey, focus up there.
Yeah.
I would
Yeah,
not
that
like
one.
that. We
Driving to Durango, you're driving like by Ouray over there and by whatever those other mountain towns.
Yeah.
You're literally on the
So
side of a
scary.
cliff. On
I
this
don't like it.
on this huge bus, you're literally like weaving through the mountains on the side of a cliff, looking over the edge like 300 feet down. It's ridiculous.
So you throw that music in, and you just look up, close
And
your
you
eyes
don't
and
look.
pray.
Yeah, you don't look down.
Maybe send a text to your parents, say, "Hey guys, I love you. I'll text you when I get there."
Hey, it's snowing through these mountains through this mountain pass right now, and
We
this bus driver is going 10 miles per hour over the speed limit.
we had to go. We left Durango in vans one time. It was Bino was driving and Shafe was leading the way. And me and Ben wanted to make it home so bad. Like, I did not want to find a hotel and stay somewhere in the middle of the night because the hotels that I was finding was like, no, sir, these are outdoor rooms type deal. Like I'm not
like
good
bed
on
bugs.
Yes, and Shafe calls us on the phone. He goes, "Hey man, like, you sure about this?" I'm like, yes, we're pushing through. Ben's like, "Come on, man, we're pushing through." I said, "Hey, look down on your jacket. What does it say?" It says Western Mountaineers. I said, "We're mountaineers. We live for this. We are mountain
This is
men.
what we do.
We will make it through this."
Yeah.
And I talked him up into it. He's like, all right, let's go. Yeah, it would be nice to wake up in my bed tomorrow. I'm like, absolutely, let's go. And
Absolutely. That's the spirit, Shafe.
We were going up a mountain, and it was one side was plowed and our side was not plowed. So Ben we'd be going on to the oncoming traffic side just so we could drive and plow in the nice road. And then when we'd see headlights move over, man, what a time in D2 basketball. Gunnison, Colorado.
You gotta grind it out.
I wouldn't trade that experience for anything else. Like, almost blowing the brakes out on the van coming down the mountain going to Denver.
Yeah.
The pass, I can't even Monarch Pass, dude. I was going down, I was tapping the brakes, doing exactly what everyone said. Hey, don't ride the brakes. Don't ride the brakes, just tap them. I was like, all right, I'm tapping them.
You gotta go on that lower gear, man. You gotta put it into low.
No one said, hey, put it in 3. Nobody, not a person. So I was like, all right, we're putting it in drive and we're going. Shafe hauls ass, and I'm like trying to stay with him.
Yeah.
And I pull out to pass a semi, and I tap the brakes to kind of like, slow down. I'm like, oh man, I'm going pretty quick. And then all of a sudden it's just like,
you get that speed wobble, huh? Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, it shook the van so hard. Like, Jackson Airland's head was bouncing off the window. Like, he was asleep, and it was like bam, bam, man. Like, he woke up. He's like, "Dang, Bush, like, what's good?"
Yeah, you get that speed wobble. You hit that brake.
Ben turned around. He's like, "Boys, I'm serious. Text your mothers that you love them.
Yeah.
I don't know if we're gonna get out of this one, dude. I don't know how
Man.
we did it, but that was scary. I was just like tapping. Then we stop, and I told Shafe, I'm like, bro, you can't be going that fast down the mountain. He's like, why, man? I was like, bro, my brakes about blew out. Like, he's like,
Shafe's
you're
probably
supposed to
done
put
it
it in
1,000
3.
times.
And I was like, he's like, you're supposed to put it in 3. I was like, hey, you guys just hired me. I've never driven this mountain before. Thank you for telling me before
Yeah.
I almost died.
Got to put it in that low gear, man. When you're in those mountain passes, got to put it in a lower gear. It'll do the work for you.
I didn't like that. That was a scary experience.
Well, and you guys, I mean, you guys were always driving through mountains, regardless where you were
the year
going.
before that, the year before I was there on the bus, I guess someone didn't tighten the bolts on the rear tire on the bus, and when they were going down the mountain, the bus driver looked at Shafe and he's like, hey, Brad, that doesn't look right, does it? And you could see the hubcap just like going in and out, and all of a sudden, like, they kept going, and then all of a sudden it was just like doo-doo, like just bumping like crazy. The wheel fell off.
Are you serious?
Yeah. The bus driver
Oh
was
my
like, bus driver.
goodness.
I guess the bus driver was like, "Yep, not doing this no more. I'm done." Yeah, they were going to play DU. They had to call DU and be like, "Hey, we got to move the game. We were waiting for vans. We got to move the game back, or else it was either like cancel the game and pay a stupid fine, or do what you can."
Mm-hmm.
And where were we going when we had our mishap going to play DU? We never scheduled DU again.
When was that?
My first year there in 19.
At Western?
Yeah, we went to go play Denver. A year after their whole
really?
incident when they went to go play Denver. Yeah, Bino was telling me about that. He's like, bro, this is creepy.
That's wild,
That is
dude.
weird. I was like, man, you guys should just stop scheduling Denver. Maybe you guys
Yeah, it
should
must
just stop
be
scheduling
the
boys.
curse of Denver University.
Rodney Billups has a curse on y'all. Okay, story time's over. That's all I got. That's all I got
too, man. That's good stuff.
Yeah.
Hopefully this
what
episode
was it?
actually works.
52?
52, I
That will
think.
work because your AirPods didn't die. So tune in.
That's true. Peace. I don't know why I threw the whole